This one. David Litt, good morning. Welcome into Wake Up America. Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
I did not watch Saturday Night Live. I watched the clips. The show's on too late. Quite frankly, I don't think it's that funny anymore. What'd you think of Elon Musk's performance? This is the first time since 2015 we've had a non-athlete, non-entertainer on the show. The last person to do that and do well with great ratings, our former president, Donald Trump.
Well, Rob, it's a great question. I mean, what happened on SNL this weekend was that people made stuff up and then said it on television like it's true. And that actually happens pretty frequently in American TV. For example, in 2020, Dominion Voting Systems sued Newsmax over its false claims about election fraud. Newsmax was lying to its own viewers, and Newsmax had to settle that lawsuit. So actually, I just need to check in. Are you still telling that lie, or are you telling new lies?
Wait, are we talking about, I'm sorry, David, do you want to talk about something completely non-related and try to catch me on a Monday morning totally off topic, or do you want to talk about Elon Musk?
Well, I can see why you don't want to talk about Dominion Voting Systems, because if you do, Newsmax could get sued and lose billions of dollars because these are lied.
David, that's fine, David. I know this is a very funny moment for you. I'm sure you didn't sleep last night as you prepared to sort of try and get the morning anchor on Newsmax. I'd be happy to talk with you about whatever you want to talk about. Obviously, it's not the topic that we have set up for right now. So if you'd like to talk about Saturday Night Live, I will do that with you. But obviously, I'm not going to talk about anything else right now. So you decide right now, in this moment on live television. Go ahead.
Did Dominion Voting Systems have any impact on the 2020 election?
Oh, that's unfortunate because I was really excited about this interview. I didn't watch SNL on Saturday night, but I thought Elon Musk did an okay job. And he also said that he's got Asperger's. So I thought that was a fascinating component of the monologue. So, David, we look forward to having him back on very soon again. That was a stellar interview. David Litt, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be right back.
This is David Litt, a former speechwriter for President Obama, doing a public service by calling out Newsmax for their election lies on Newsmax. And while I'm not usually one for gotcha questions because I think they're more about theatrics than substance, in this case, the substance here is important. And that is that Newsmax, along with other right-wing media outlets, have been lying to their viewers in service of Donald Trump's desperate attempt to anoint himself president after losing the election, which has served as the pretext for hundreds of voter suppression bills across the country. And ever since then, they've attempted to brush their involvement under the rug and pretend that it didn't happen. Only, it doesn't exactly seem to be working out too well. First of all, what's especially telling is that when Litt poses his final question, asking whether Dominion Voting Systems had any impact on the 2020 election, still this Newsmax anchor couldn't just answer the question and say no. And I don't know whether that's because they've just dug themselves into such a hole that any acknowledgement of the fact that Dominion wasn't involved in the election will send Newsmax's brainwashed viewers into a tailspin, or whether it's because Newsmax isn't even allowed to utter the word Dominion on air anymore after the legal mess that they've created for themselves. But whatever the answer, their silence in the face of this question is especially telling. It's fitting, too, that Newsmax was trying to talk about Saturday Night Live, just the most unimportant culture war BS, complaining about a comedy sketch show, which will have exactly zero impact on anyone's life, which really is a perfect microcosm for right-wing media. It's either egregiously dangerous disinformation that'll ultimately result in real-world violence like the insurrection on January 6th, or it's whining about culture war wedge issues like censorship or Dr. Seuss or Starbucks not putting Jesus Christ himself on their holiday cups or department store salespeople saying Merry Christmas. Either way, it is poisoning the minds of the people who watch it. I also find it especially ironic that the Newsmax host was so opposed to talking about the Dominion situation, considering they were the ones who gave life to this whole conspiracy. They were the ones who suggested night after night that Dominion Voting Systems was rigging the election in Joe Biden's favor. No one forced them to do that. In fact, everyone was practically begging them to stop spreading that disinformation, but they opted to continue giving those conspiracy theories oxygen because they wanted to kowtow to Trump. And so they continued peddling the BS, even though they had zero evidence, because they wanted the attention that was built on outright lies. And by the way, it's not like it didn't come without a price. Newsmax was duly sued by Dominion Voting Systems and Smartmatic and ultimately settled for an undisclosed amount, but whatever the amount was clearly enough to force Newsmax into changing their tune, because they had to end up airing clarifications like this one.
Since Election Day, various guests, attorneys, and elected officials have appeared on Newsmax and offered opinions and claims about Smartmatic and Dominion Systems, both companies that offer voting software in the U.S., and Newsmax would like to clarify its news coverage and note that it has not reported as true certain claims made about these companies. There are several facts our viewers and readers should be aware of. Newsmax has found no evidence that either Dominion or Smartmatic owns the other or has any business association with each other. We have no evidence that Dominion uses Smartmatic software or vice versa. No evidence has been offered that Dominion or Smartmatic used software or reprogrammed software that manipulated votes in the 2020 election. Smartmatic has stated that its software was only used in the 2020 election in Los Angeles, was not used in any battleground state contested by the Trump campaign. Newsmax has no evidence to the contrary. Dominion has stated the company has no ownership relationship with the Pelosi family, the Feinstein family, the Clinton family, Hugo Chavez, or the government of Venezuela. Neither Dominion nor Smartmatic has any relationship with George Soros. Smartmatic is a U.S. company and not owned by the Venezuelan government, Hugo Chavez, or any foreign official or entity. Smartmatic states that it has no operations in Venezuela. While the company did election projects in Venezuela from 2004 to 2017, it was never founded by Hugo Chavez, nor did it have a corrupt relationship with him or the Venezuelan government. For more on this, please go to our website at newsmax.com. Read facts about Dominion Smartmatic that you should know.
Of course, even these clarifications don't even begin to undo the damage done by right-wing outlets like Newsmax, because not even a fraction of the people who heard the original claim will hear the correction, and that's the point. The goal isn't to actually deliver accurate news, it is to air these absurd claims that then spread like wildfire across conservative media with the goal of undermining trust in the election, which is exactly what happened. And so now, even with these clarifications and retractions happening left and right, the damage is already done. Republican voters overwhelmingly do not trust the outcome of the election. They don't think Biden was legitimately elected, and that's owed in large part to outlets like Newsmax that knowingly spread lies all because they enjoy the attention from bad actors like Donald Trump. But just like the effects of their lies continue to persist on the right, we should also continue to make sure that Newsmax is held accountable for those lies. The fact is that Newsmax rose to prominence by touting these lies, and now that they're on the receiving end of financial and legal trouble as a result, suddenly they want to run away from them. But this is and always will be their legacy. Newsmax will always and only be the network that trafficked in disinformation, undermined the results of a free and fair election, validated an insurrection at the US Capitol, and laid the foundation for Republicans to introduce voter suppression bills across the US. So if that means every time someone utters the name of this network, it's always with the caveat that they spread disinformation about the election in an attempt to undo the results, so be it. Because at the end of the day, it's important to remember that this was their choice. And while it may be inconvenient for them to have to live with that now, they should have thought about that while they were busy undermining democracy. To see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. And for a deeper dive, check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I discuss the week's top stories and interview major players in the world of politics, like Vice President Kamala Harris, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, Katie Porter, Pete Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.